My mom made me quit my job, said she needed me at home. I trusted her. I stayed. I gave up everything. Until one night, I heard a voice upstairs, not hers. And when I finally opened that door, I realized I was never the only one living there. My name is Savannah Cole. I'm 29 years old. And this is the story of how my own mother didn't just lie to me. She controlled my entire life to protect someone else. My mom asked me to quit my job on a Tuesday morning. No warning. No build-up. Just, "Savannah, I need you at home." I remember standing there in my apartment kitchen, still holding my coffee, confused, because nothing was wrong. She wasn't sick. No emergency. Nothing urgent. So I asked her, "For how long?" She smiled, soft, reassuring. "Just a little while." And I believed her, because she was my mother. And at that point in my life, I still thought mothers didn't lie like that. I had a stable job, administrative coordinator, nothing glamorous, but it paid my bills, gave me independence, gave me space. But within a week, I gave it up, packed my things, moved back into the house I thought I had already outgrown. Everyone told me it was temporary, even my mom. "You'll go back soon." But the moment I stepped inside that house again, something felt off, not wrong, just different. Like I had walked into a place that wasn't waiting for me. The first few weeks? Normal. Cooking, cleaning, helping around the house, running errands. Simple. Then I asked, "Should I start applying again?" She didn't even look at me. Not yet. A month later, I asked again. Same answer. Not yet. 3 months, 6 months, a year. And every single time, not yet. That's when I realized something dangerous. This wasn't temporary anymore. If you've ever trusted someone and later realized something didn't feel right, hit subscribe. Because this story only gets darker from here. It started with food. Groceries disappearing faster than normal. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was eating more. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But then I noticed patterns. Food I didn't touch. Gone. Leftovers. Vanished overnight. And my mom? Never mentioned it. Never questioned it. Just acted like everything was normal. And that's when I started paying attention. Then came the lights. Rooms we never used. Suddenly lit. At random times. I'd walk past the hallway and see light under the door. But when I opened it, dark. Nothing. Empty. I told myself I was overthinking, but deep down, I knew something wasn't adding up. One night, I heard footsteps. Upstairs. Slow. Careful. Like someone trying not to be heard. I froze in the hallway. Listened. Waited. They stopped. I went to my mom's room. "Did you hear that?" She didn't hesitate. Didn't think. "You're imagining things. Too fast. Too automatic." That wasn't reassurance. That was deflection. There was one room in the house. Always locked. Always. Ever since I moved back. I asked about it once. She said, "Just storage." But no one ever went in. No boxes, no dust, no reason. And suddenly, that door became all I could think about. One night, around 2 a.m., I got up for water. And that's when I saw it. A shadow. Under that door. Still. Not moving. Just there. Like someone standing on the other side. Watching. Waiting. I didn't breathe. Didn't move. Because in that moment, I knew something with certainty. I was not alone in that house. If your instincts ever told you something was wrong, don't ignore it. Because what I found next, I wish I had been wrong about. The next day, my mom left early. First time in weeks. I stood in that hallway, staring at the door. My heart was racing, my hands shaking, and then I noticed something. The lock wasn't fully turned, just slightly open, like someone rushed or forgot. I hesitated for 1 second. Then, I pushed the door open. It wasn't storage, not even close. It was a bedroom, clean, organized, used, bed made, clothes folded, air, warm, like someone had just been there. And then I saw it, on the nightstand, a phone, charging. Not mine, not my mom's, and definitely not supposed to be there. That's when everything inside me went quiet, because I finally understood. My mom wasn't keeping me at home to help her. She was keeping me there, so I wouldn't ask questions. That night, I didn't say anything, didn't confront her. I waited, listened, watched, and around midnight, I heard it again. Voices. 2 of them. My mom and someone else. And then, I heard one sentence that changed everything. She can't find out. I stood there in the dark, realizing something terrifying. I wasn't being protected. I was being controlled. That night, I didn't turn on any lights, didn't move too fast. I just stood there in the hallway, listening. At first, it was quiet. Then I heard it again. Low voices. From upstairs. Not loud enough to understand every word, but enough to know one thing. There were 2 people. My mom and someone else. Not a TV, not a phone, a real conversation. And then, a pause, followed by something that made my chest tighten. She's starting to notice. I leaned closer to the wall, barely breathing, trying to catch more, but they never said a name. Not once. Just he and him. Like I wasn't supposed to know who they were talking about. Like even saying his name was dangerous. That's when I realized something deeper. This wasn't new. They had done this before, many times, and I had never noticed. The next morning, I acted normal, made coffee, cleaned the kitchen, waited. My mom walked in like nothing had happened, smiled. Morning. Same tone, same routine, like the night before, didn't exist. And that scared me more than anything, because it meant she was used to hiding things. I decided to test her. Casual. Careful. I said, I thought I heard someone upstairs last night. She froze, just for a second, then smiled again. You really need more sleep. Too smooth, too practiced. No confusion, no concern, just denial. That's when it clicked. She wasn't surprised. She was prepared. I stopped asking questions. Instead, I watched. Every day, every movement, every routine. And slowly, patterns started forming. My mom always went upstairs at the same time, always stayed for exactly 20 minutes, always came back down. A little more tense, a little quieter. And one night, I noticed something else. She was carrying a plate. Food. Not for herself. If you think you know what's going on, wait. Because what I found next made everything worse. 2 nights later, I waited until she went to bed. Then I moved. Slow, silent, careful. I walked to that door again. This time, it was locked. But now I knew something I didn't before. Someone was inside. I pressed my ear against it, and I heard breathing. Not loud, not heavy, just there, alive, present, listening back. The next day, I went back into the room. While she was out again, the phone was still there. Same charger, same spot. But this time, I picked it up. Locked. Of course, but notifications lit the screen. and one message preview caught my eye. She doesn't suspect anything yet. My hands went cold, because that message was sent to someone else, not my mom. Someone outside this house knew. I searched the room more carefully. Drawers, shelves, closet. That's when I saw it. Men's clothes. Not old, not stored, worn. Recently. Shoes by the door. A jacket hanging neatly. This wasn't a hidden guest. This was someone living here. And suddenly, every strange moment made sense. On the inside of the closet door, there was a photo. Small. Tucked into the frame. I pulled it out, and my heart stopped. It was my mom. Younger. Standing next to a man. Smiling. Close. Too close. Not a friend. Not family. Something else. And then I realized I had never seen him before. Not once. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my room, staring at the wall, thinking about everything. The job, the years, the control, the lies, and it finally came together. Piece by piece. Truth by truth. My mom didn't ask me to stay home because she needed help. She needed me there, so I wouldn't leave. Because if I left, I would have discovered this sooner. And the most terrifying part? I still didn't know who he was, or why. He was hiding in my house. But the next night, I didn't have to wonder anymore, because I made a decision. No more watching. No more waiting. I stood outside that door, hand on the handle, and said one thing. I know someone's in there. And from the other side, I heard a voice answer. Not my mom's. Deep, calm, and completely unexpected. Then you're already too late. The moment I said, I know someone's in there, everything went still. No footsteps, no movement, just silence. Then, a voice, low, calm, controlled. Then you're already too late. I froze, because that voice wasn't nervous, wasn't scared. It sounded like someone who had nothing to hide, and that was worse. Before I could react, my mom appeared behind me. I didn't even hear her coming. Savannah. Just my name. Sharp. Warning. I turned slowly, and for the first time, I didn't see fear in her face. I saw something else. Control. She looked at the door, then back at me, and said quietly, You shouldn't have opened that. Not, What are you doing? Not, You're wrong. Just, like I broke a rule she never explained. Then something I didn't expect happened. She reached past me and unlocked the door. Slowly, like she had already decided there was no point hiding it anymore. The door opened, and I finally saw him. Not a stranger, not exactly, but not someone I recognized either. Mid-40s, calm, watching me like he'd been expecting this moment. And that's when everything inside me shifted. Because he didn't look surprised. He looked familiar with me. I looked at my mom. Who is he? She didn't answer, didn't even try. So I asked again, louder, Who is he? That's when he spoke instead. Not her. You weren't supposed to find out like this. That sentence hit different. Because it meant one thing. There was a plan. And I wasn't part of it. I stepped closer, my heart racing, my hands shaking. Say his name. Silence. Then my mom finally said it. Quiet. Barely audible. His name is Daniel. Daniel. The name meant nothing. But the way she said it, like it carried years behind it. History. Secrets. Something buried. I looked between them. Why is he here? No answer. How long has he been here? Still nothing. Then I said the question that mattered most. Is this why I had to quit my job? That's when my mom looked away. And in that moment, I got my answer. If you think this is just about someone hiding in a house, you're wrong. Because what I found out next changes everything. I started counting everything. Months. Excuses. Every single, not yet. And suddenly, those words stopped sounding protective. They started sounding planned. I looked at both of them, my chest tight, mind racing. Then finally, I asked, "How long?" This time, Daniel answered, calm, direct. 3 years. 3 years. The exact same amount of time. I had been back in that house. That wasn't coincidence. That was design. My voice dropped, almost a whisper. You kept me here. Because of him? My mom's eyes filled, but she didn't deny it, didn't defend it, didn't explain. And that silence was louder than anything she could have said, because it confirmed the one thing I didn't want to believe. I wasn't helping her. I was being managed. Then Daniel said something that made everything worse. She thought it was safer this way. Safer. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. Safer for who? Silence. Then he said, for you. And that's when something snapped inside me, because nothing about this felt like protection. It felt like control. I stepped back, looked at both of them, and said something I didn't even plan. What are you hiding from? And this time, they both reacted. Not with denial, not with anger, but with something worse. Fear. Real fear. The kind you can't fake. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about him being in the house. This was about something outside it. Something bigger. Something they had been hiding me from for years. That night, I went back to my room, locked the door, and for the first time, I didn't feel confused. I felt something else. Clear. Focused. Because now I knew. I wasn't trapped there by accident. I was placed there. And if they were hiding something from me, then I was done waiting. The next morning, I started digging. And what I found made me wish I had never come back home. That night, I didn't cry, didn't panic, didn't confront them again. I did something else. I got quiet, because for the first time, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was thinking. Every lie, every delay, every not yet. It all led to one conclusion. I wasn't just being kept at home. I was being kept away from something. And that changes everything. The next morning, I left the house. Didn't tell my mom. Didn't leave a note. I just drove. Straight to the one place I knew would give me answers. Records. Public records. Old files. Anything tied to our house. To her. To him. And that's when I found something I wasn't supposed to see. I searched Daniel first. Nothing. No social media. No recent records. Almost like he didn't exist. But then, I searched my mom's name. Old records. Years back. And that's when I saw it. Daniel Reeves. The name appeared deep inside an old legal filing connected to my mother. And the second I saw it, my stomach tightened instantly, because suddenly, this wasn't some stranger hiding upstairs. This was someone connected to my mother long before I ever came back home. I opened the document slowly. Protective filings, private records, withdrawn paperwork, everything buried quietly, like somebody had spent years trying to make sure nobody looked too closely. I pulled the file, read every line, slowly, carefully. And what I read didn't make sense, at least not at first. It wasn't a criminal charge. It wasn't an arrest. It was something else. A protective separation request, filed by my mom, years ago. And then suddenly, Withdrawn. No explanation. No follow-up. Like it never happened. But it did. And she never told me. I went back through dates. Matched everything. And that's when it hit me. The timeline, the report, the withdrawal, my return home. They all lined up. Perfectly. Too perfectly. She didn't bring me back home because she needed help. She brought me back. Right when he came back. I sat in my car for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, heart racing. Because now, this wasn't just about secrets. This was about something worse. Why would she hide him instead of removing him? Why would she protect him instead of protecting me? And the scariest thought of all, what if I was never the one she was protecting? I didn't go home right away. I needed more proof, more truth. So I went somewhere else, the hospital records office, because that report mentioned an incident. No details, just a date. So I searched it, and what I found made my chest tighten. There was a record, emergency intake, same date, same name. My mom. Admitted late at night. Minor injuries, nothing life-threatening, but the report noted something important. Accompanied by adult male, refused to identify. Daniel. It had to be. And suddenly, everything flipped. Because now I understood something terrifying. He wasn't hiding from us. We were hiding from what happened. I drove home slower than ever before. Because now, I wasn't just suspicious. I was scared. Not of him. Not yet. But of the truth. Because whatever happened that night was bad enough for her to file a report. And then, bad enough for her to erase it. And if she erased it, it means she chose to live with it. When I walked back into the house, everything felt different. The walls, the silence, the air. Like I could finally see what had always been there. My mom looked at me, careful, watching. And for the first time, I didn't see control anymore. I saw something else. Fear. Not fear of me, fear of what I now knew. That night, I didn't wait. I didn't listen. I didn't hesitate. I walked straight to that door again, opened it, looked Daniel in the eyes, and said, I know what happened. And for the first time since I met him, he wasn't calm anymore. Because the truth was finally catching up to him. I stood in that doorway, looking straight at him. I know what happened. For the first time, Daniel didn't look calm, didn't look controlled. He looked exposed. My mom stepped in quickly. Savannah, stop. But I didn't. Not this time. You filed a report against him. Silence. You went to the hospital. Silence again. And that silence confirmed everything. I stepped closer. So why is he still here? Daniel finally spoke, but not the way I expected. Not defensive, not angry, just tired. Then quietly, he said, because leaving wouldn't have stopped them. That answer hit differently. Not emotional, not dramatic. Certain. I frowned immediately. Stopped who? He looked at my mom first, then back at me. And for the first time, I saw something underneath his calm expression. Fear. Real fear. The people looking for her. That's when my mom finally broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. You don't understand. Her voice shaking, hands trembling. It wasn't that simple. I stared at her, because for years, I believed she was controlling me, manipulating me, but now, I was starting to see something else, something deeper, something harder to accept. She sat down slowly, like her body couldn't hold the weight anymore. He came back that night, her voice barely there, and I thought it was over. I didn't move, didn't interrupt. Then she said the one thing I wasn't ready for. But he wasn't the danger anymore. Everything inside me froze, because that meant there was something worse. Daniel spoke again. This time, serious, direct. It wasn't about me. I looked at him, confused. Then he said, it was about who was looking for her. My heart dropped. Because now, this wasn't about family anymore. This was about something outside the house. Something they had been hiding from me. My mom looked at me for a long time before speaking, then quietly said, Daniel was never the man I was hiding you from. I froze, because suddenly, everything felt heavier. She looked down at her hands, then whispered, Your real father spent years trying to find us. The room went completely silent, and for the first time, I understood why she always looked afraid near windows, why we moved suddenly, why she never wanted me too far away. Then she finally said the sentence that changed everything. When you were 6 years old, we disappeared overnight. My chest tightened. What do you mean? Disappeared. My mom's eyes filled immediately. Your father became dangerous after I left him. Not angry. Dangerous. She explained how he spent years tracking addresses, calling relatives, showing up unexpectedly. And then, 3 years earlier, someone saw him near our town again. That was the same week she called me home, the same week she made me quit my job. The same week, Daniel came back. Because Daniel wasn't hiding from us. He was helping protect us. I looked toward Daniel slowly. All this time, I thought he was the secret, the problem, the danger. But quietly, he said, Your mom thought if you stayed close, she could keep you safe if your father found you. I couldn't speak. Because suddenly, every locked door, every strange rule, every moment of control finally made sense. Not healthy, not fair, but real. And for the first time in years, I finally understood what my mother had been terrified of. I stood there, quiet, thinking about everything. Years of anger, years of confusion, years of feeling controlled. And now, a truth I never expected. I wasn't trapped. I was being shielded. But here's the part that broke something inside me. She never trusted me with the truth. She chose silence, control, fear, instead of honesty. And that changed everything. I didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't argue. I just nodded slowly. You should have told me. My mom tried to speak, but I stopped her. Not out of anger, out of clarity. You protected me, but you also took my life away. And that truth sat heavy in the room. I walked back to my room, packed a small bag, and left. No drama, no fight, just quiet. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away calmly. I thought my mom was controlling my life, but the truth was, she was trying to protect me from a past she never escaped herself. The problem is, she never realized protection can become a cage too. If this story made you feel something, subscribe. Because sometimes, the people who protect you are also the ones who hurt you the most. And the next story is even more unexpected.